With National Native News, I'm Art Hughes, in for Antonia Gonzalez. Lawmakers and administration officials say they're working to prevent a former Indian Health Service pediatrician from receiving his pension. Stanley Patrick Weber was convicted of sexually abusing a child at an IHS clinic on the Blackfeet Reservation in Montana. He faces additional charges. He abused several children while working at a clinic on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation in South Dakota. Despite the conviction, he could still receive his government pension that could reach into the six figures each year. At a U.S. Senate Appropriations Committee hearing Wednesday, Montana Republican Steve Daines said it's a systemic and institutional breakdown that allowed the sexual abuse of children for decades. He said he's introducing a bill specifically designed to prohibit federal employees convicted of heinous crimes from getting their retirement benefits.
Any monster who's guilty of the unspeakable crimes that Stanley Patrick Weber was convicted of in Montana will not receive a federal government pension.
Admiral Michael Wiaki, the IHS Principal Deputy Director, said he is also seeking to remove Weber's pension benefits, but he says the agency might lack the legal authority to do so. Indian Country Today is planning to expand to Alaska. The media organization recently announced its move to Phoenix and a planned regular television news program. Now the head of the organization says he plans to announce an agreement with Alaska Pacific University for a bureau in Anchorage to better cover Alaska Native issues. KNBA's Trip Krause talked with Indian Country Today editor Mark Trahant about his upcoming plans.
Veteran journalist Mark Trahant started working in radio broadcasting as a teenager. 40-some years later, he's now leading Indian Country Today. His focus is to bring more Native stories and more Native journalists to the public eye.
It's so debilitating for folks to grow up and not see themselves in the media and not see themselves in the public discourse, and to have our entire world be communicated through someone else's eyes.
Trahant says that Indian Country Today wants to expand, adding staff at Arizona State University to produce a weekly television news program. He says that'll include hiring an executive producer, an anchor, and a news team. It'll also mean establishing producers throughout the country, including Alaska.
The Alaska story is so important, and one of the things I'm most eager to get started is, and I'm working on a couple partnerships, but to get a reporter up there, both writing for us and when the television show starts, being one of the first voices to be heard.
Trahant says they plan to open their Arizona newsroom on July 1st and have the National Weekly News program ready by fall.
And I think that's really enlightening for people, where it gives a sense of authenticity and the story will change. And I also think it will change the story to the greater society, the larger society, because they'll start to see, one, how much talent there is in Indian country and how much promise there is.
In Anchorage, I'm Trip Krause.
The 4 Native American members of Congress are co-sponsoring a bipartisan bill to help increase focus on addressing the issue of missing and murdered Indigenous women. One of the main goals of the Not Invisible Act of 2019 is to establish an advisory committee on violent crime. It would be made up of tribal leaders, violent crime survivors, law enforcement officials, and others. The panel would make recommendations to the Department of Justice on ways to fight murder, sexual assault, and trafficking of Native Americans and Alaskan Natives. It would also establish a new position in the Bureau of Indian Affairs for managing violent crime prevention efforts among various federal agencies. In a written release, Representative Sharice Davids of Kansas said the bill helps address an issue that she says has devastated Native communities and has been neglected far too long. Davids, a Democrat, is co-sponsoring the bill along with fellow Democrat Deborah Holland from New Mexico and Oklahoma Republicans Tom Cole and Mark Wayne Mullen. With National Native News, I'm Art Hughes.
National Native News is produced at the Annenberg National Native Voice Studios by Quantic Broadcast Corporation. Funding is provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, with support from the Public Radio Satellite Service.
Support by AARP. What AARP does might surprise you, like supporting the National American Indian Housing Council Annual Conference taking place May 7th through the 9th in Denver. More at aarp.org/native origins.
My day one.
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 Day one. Telling inspiring stories of alcohol recovery. Recovery works. Hope starts here. Go to recoveralaska.org to learn more.
Native Voice One, the Native American Radio